Yeah. Twins pod.
So that sucks if we don't have an election.
I don't think we're going to get there. And you know what? I'm fine with it. We're at this point where we're not voting our way out of it, and I get really annoyed at people like, we just need to vote harder. Why don't you just bang your head against the wall harder? Like, it's not going to do anything. And once corruption has cemented itself in, like it has here, so blatantly. I caught the county commissioner admitting to being a pedophile on video. Video gets 1 million views. They promote him. This is what we're dealing with. Tick, suck, Bloom can suck a dick. Actually, he probably liked that. So
anything about what happened here in Vegas, that's definitely was a cover-up. And then Lombardo gets
installed as governor? Yeah. Did you see my documentary I did?
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah, I saw it.
That's fun, huh? I mean, I spent a half year putting that together. I read every police report. I listened to every 911 call. That's just the stuff I can prove. And the stuff that I heard from first responders that were there is even worse. And I haven't found a place to reveal that information yet because I want everyone to see the first one first. Because they may not believe it if I say what they also tried to do that day. But they slaughtered us like fish in a barrel. Paddock was dead, and they're still hearing gunshots.
Right.
There's a lot of things people don't know about that shooting because after 2 weeks, the media dropped the story. When have you ever seen the media drop a story
if
that they
was
can...
a rap concert and 60 black people died, they would have a holiday for that.
They'd call it Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't care as long as it's another black person doing it. But if it was a white person...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can always tell whether they show their picture or not. And I hate that's the world we live in. Every time there's a mass shooter, I was like, well, tell me how they were previously known to feds, because they always are. How does a government that spies on everything we do all the time, whether you're somebody or nobody, they just record it, they collect it, but they can't seem to stop any of these mass shooters who are all like autistic kids who get thousands of dollars a year that they never explain, cops who don't rush in and help people. We got a lot of problems, and it happened here. Why were the cops hiding in a stairwell for over an hour? An hour. Anyone could have left that room. What happened to Paddock's computer hard drive that had a video of the hallway? That's what he was monitoring. That walks off a hot crime scene. Yeah. His house gets broken into because they leave the door unlocked and open. You know, Lombardo changes the timeline 3 different times until MGM's happy. The one main witness goes to Mexico, comes back, he gets 2 condos, bought for him. It's the shadiest thing. And there were multiple shooters there. Ask anyone in this town.
It sounds like
I talk to people because every time that they watch that, more information comes to me. And 3 people this week alone, when they were running for their lives, being shot at by our own government, they saw one of them was a body shot and 2 was a headshot of people facing away from Mandalay Bay. How are you getting hit this way when you can't even see the building?
A lot of them are headshots, right?
Too many
Parallel.
of them. I went through every single autopsy, and they won't tell you whose autopsy it is, but they tell you their gender, their race, their height, their eye color, their tattoos. I painstakingly went through every single one of them. And about a dozen of them had straight, perfect trajectories. And there wasn't even that military guy that night of. He's like, these are all headshots. This cannot be.
Yeah,
and they staged snipers for maximum casualties. And that's something our government can kill 3,000 people during 9/11 to push the Patriot Act, hide the trillions they lost in the Pentagon, and start a lucrative war over imaginary weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East. They'll kill 60 of us here to get gun rights or whatever they're trying. And what they got was suppressors. We were about to legalize suppressors for hearing protection for our law and order and the military. And we were about to have universal carry so that my concealed carry carried over in every state like a driver's license, like it should. So I could be protected in the country I live in. And Paul Ryan, that rhino piece of shit, pulled it within 24 hours even though no one asked him. That's always a bad sign. And then, of course, bump stocks. And who cared? Because it wasn't a bump stock. And that was the thing they weren't counting on. They shot at a pro-amendment Second Amendment crowd. Old ladies. I'm reading the reports. They knew it was a belt fell. They could tell you exactly what kind of weapon it was. They could tell you where they were coming from there. Then you have the other issue that kitty corner on the opposite side of Mandalay Bay was also gunshots, gunmen seen, and casings all over the place, spotted by many people.
And it's weird the helicopters was turning off their transponders.
Yeah, tell me about that. Right before 5 minutes before
and
the
then
shooting.
after it, they turn them back on.
Yeah, and then they sneak out with Maverick helicopters, which is military-industrial complex. Sorry, but if you own a bunch of helicopters, you rich.
Right.
It's not like a small venture. And a lot of people don't realize this. There were 3 helicopters. They're hovering above the venue between Mandalay Bay and the concert. They turn their transponders off.
Right.
Which you do not do.
Right.
And my other half used to do, in the Army, he would do the radio traffic controls. You would never do that. And you can tell they're still there on video because you can see their lights are on. They're flying back and forth on all the cell phone video because we don't have any casino footage video, do we? Most surveilled city in the world, and that got burned
Yeah,
up.
we got cameras everywhere.
But not that night. Anyway, so...
and then the police officers was directed to turn off their body cams.
Yes, they were. And the only reason we even know what happened inside that room is the K-9 officer didn't. He left it on. They were supposedly hiding in the stairwell because they're waiting for their full-man 40s SWAT team to show up, which never did. Same cops show up. You had that accidental discharge.
I saw that.
He shot 3 times accidentally. That fire alarm and the smoke detector.
And you know what's
off.
funny when he shot? I guess the smoke from his firearm, it turned on the smoke alarm.
Mm-hmm.
It should have went off when that guy was supposedly when he was in shooting people.
Yeah. So how did Paddock? So you've got 8 shells. I think when they were trying to. Someone was the only video I can find of someone actually shooting out the window of Mandalay Bay. That isn't a blinking light on the wrong level, which is another. They should have looked into that too, because that's obviously whatever these people.
Right.
Columbo, they are not. Anyway, but there was 8 shots in there that didn't blow up. How did Paddock get to the other side of that door that they had to blow up to get into?
Right.
And then they can't find that second broken window on entry. They should be stepping on broken glass and empty shells.
Right.
They are not.
Shells.
They released footage later that night of his dead body and the gun and the casings on top of a blood stain with
That's
the gun over
crazy.
here.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the window's broken. And at 11:30, there's a 911 call of a
Right.
man complaining of glass falling down at that time. So I think when they blew out that second door to get in, that Paddock transported himself through, that's when they also blew out that window to make it look right. Because I looked on the helicopter footage and I only see one broken window.
Yeah, and it's
So that means that it came from somewhere else.
Yeah, so those windows, to break them.
The hurricane glass-proof windows.
Yeah.
It would take an explosion to break them.
It really would. And it did.
Yeah.
And you've got the Australian that knew too much that was in that hall. They didn't interview anybody on that hall. I mean, it's
He actually
inexcusable.
had a couple rooms to other females that it was under his name.
Well, so there were 2 rooms. People don't realize that there were 2 rooms that were registered to Paddock and the girlfriend that he sent the money to. Of course, she's in on it somehow, but of course they didn't look into it. There's also 3 women. Laura Loomer figured that out because it was redacted. They only say the first names. There were 3 women that we find out on police body cam footage that were also registered to that room that FBI agents wanted to look into, but Aaron Roos, that guy that's standing behind Lombardo the whole time, said you couldn't. So, tells me that they're deep state. They're protecting their own.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, well, they were going after the Saudi prince. Maybe. Because a lot of times these things have multiple, just like 9/11, they have at least 3 reasons to do that. And if not more, the insurance money would be number 4. But if that was their number 1 plan, then they failed and they just ended up bringing a lot of attention to it. So I think their number 1 plan was to kill us, shoot at second amenders and say we're going to give up our guns, which is never going to happen. And remember, Hillary was supposed to win. Would have been a different kind of...
Oh, yes, right. That's right.
Would have been a different kind of day.
After watching your documentary, I don't even think he was a shooter. I don't think he had the ability to shoot anybody.
There was a shot heard. I talked to the woman at 3:45 that she complained about to MGM. Good luck finding those records. And that's when I do believe he was shot. Because you've got the door locks. My friend went through and the door locks are opening at the same time, both doors.
Right.
So
right.
would he run it across? That's not possible. There's more than one people. The food tray was for more than one person.
Yeah, you order food for more than one person, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's dead and somebody else is in.
I think he was a
in and out of the
patsy.
room.
I think it was a false flag that they made go live. They had a couple other things set up I don't want to talk about yet. A couple of actors that shouldn't have been there and things like that, and then someone made it go live. And part of that was killing Paddock and blaming it on him. How did they solve that? You had gunshots going off. People hearing and seeing gunmen up and down the strip after Paddock's dead.
Right.
And then Lombardo, the balls, this big sweaty lip, because he's an awful liar.
Yeah, he's awful.
Oh, he's shaking. I make that man so nervous. I caught him outside at least twice already. I hate that guy. He dragged me off at Freedom Fest. They're like, they weren't going to let me in. SWAT met me. And I'm like, am I not threatening?
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, there's at least 30 different things that are wrong with that. And they had put out another Las Vegas shooting doc, and I can't watch it. It's the first thing they said was, it was the number 1, mass shooting on U.S. soil. No, it's not. It's the 3rd. Number 1 would be Wounded Knee, where our government killed not only the Native Americans, but they slaughtered the soldiers that were in their way just because they were in their way and then covered it up. And then the second is Waco, when the ATF decided to set women and children on fire for their own safety. Number 3 would be Vegas. It's all the government. And then in order to even understand what they did for that false flag, I had to look at the Boston bombing, which they did too. The Oklahoma bombing, which they did too. You got Ruby Ridge, you got the government's pretty fucking evil, and they've always been doing this.
Right.
But now we have the tools at our disposal to understand what they're doing. It's a war of information. So
that Flynn documentary opened my eyes.
Yeah,
that really opened my eyes.
Fuck.
Look, everybody, inflation is out of control, and this problem's only going to get worse.
The value of silver, gold has been steadily rising, while the value of the American dollar has been falling.
PurpleBar.com is changing the game, making it easy for all of us to protect our financial futures. The bars are perforated so they can easily break apart and can be conveniently exchanged Go to purplebar.com and use promo code Hodgetwins and you get 5% off gold bars. And you get 10% off silver bars. Yeah.